Hello, everybody. I'm RJ Marquez with KSAT.com, and this is the one and only David Sears. And welcome to our weekly KSAT Spurs cast, where we discuss all things silver and black. David, I can't believe we are a quarter of the way into the season. After all the offseason hype, the Spurs are second in the Western Conference right now. What's been the biggest surprise to you so far, 20 games in?
That at 20 games in for the Spurs, the Golden State Warriors haven't lost yet. It's coming. The biggest surprise for the Spurs is, I guess, on the positive side, is how well Kawhi Leonard's playing. I knew the guy could play some defense, and I knew he could shoot. But I mean, even against Memphis, 7 of 9 from 3-point range.
Yeah,
he was just coming down.
He was on fire. Yeah, the other night. Yeah. His whole offensive game has evolved, and we talk about it on a weekly basis where he's now taking guys off the dribble, and really their whole offense is kind of catered towards him and LaMarcus. I mean, what about Tony Parker? He's kind of come back. He's been playing well so far this season.
That's another pleasant surprise, I think. Tony and Manu. Manu plays a little more carefree than he did. He doesn't seem to be as tight, I guess, because he figures this is probably his last run with it, so you might as well just go out and enjoy yourself. And he's playing pretty well. Tony's had a three really, really big nights. A couple of 3 really big halves to try to get his team going. So those two guys are pretty pleasant surprises.
Yeah.
I think the defense, the way it's come around with LaMarcus now in the lineup and David West coming off the bench and some new faces, the defense is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and something when we were at the Milwaukee game that you had brought up is they are holding their opponents under 90 points. What was that stat that you had?
Well, now after the Memphis game, it's now 13 out of 20 times the Spurs have held their opponents under 90 points, and twice, up until now, before the Boston game, twice they held them to 75 or less.
Right.
I think the Knicks had 75. Was that right? The Knicks had 75, and then
Brooklyn
had 75. Yeah, and they're both in New York, and they're both
same
bad. But I mean, the defense is just, and they lead the league in points allowed.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I mean, definitely. A new sort of set of twin towers that they have there, taking care of the paint.
Wow. Yeah, I like LaMarcus down there because there's some guys, they give them fits when you got two 7-footers down there at the
Absolutely,
in the paint. What are you going to do?
So let's flip this around a little bit.
Okay.
So what's been the biggest concern to you so far this season? Danny Green's kind of had a slow start. He's shooting 30% from three-point range. LaMarcus Aldridge at times kind of seems like he's not really in the flow of the offense. Or maybe late game execution, some close losses here and there. What sticks out to you?
Danny Green doesn't concern me as much just because we're only a quarter of the way through the season. He's a shooter. He's going to keep shooting. He's going to get his shot back before the end of the year. LaMarcus seems, I'm not disappointed. I'm not really surprised, but it seems like he's coming along a little slower than I thought he would have on the offensive end. I think there's still a little hesitation there. And I think there's still some learning and some adapting that he's trying to do. But, I mean, he makes up for it with defense, with rebounds, with block shots, and, just being in the paint, like we mentioned a second ago, down there with Tim. So, I mean, the offense will come around. I'm not really worried, but I'm kind of surprised that he hadn't picked it up a little bit sooner. And he shoots a lot of jump shots.
Yeah.
And
he does.
I'm waiting for him to start posting up guys a little bit more often and getting down in a little block. Of course, when Tim's down in a little block, what are you going to do?
That's true.
Hey, LaMarcus, move out of the way, and Tim's down there. But, I think it'll come around, but I'm kind of not really worried, but, I'm kind of surprised that he's not a little bit further along on the offensive end. But other than that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good so far. I know, you can't complain. 16
second in the West.
Any kind of big surprise you may look out for? We talked about Jonathan Simmons. I mean, he's got athleticism. Wow. He can run up and down the court. I mean, now that we are heading into the sort of dog days of winter here, I mean, do you see him maybe getting a little bit more playing time?
I do. I was surprised that all the starters went back-to-backs the other night.
Right.
I was surprised that Pop took them all with him to Memphis. But to watch Simmons play, watch him get up and down the floor, and I mean, even after the game the other night, Kawhi commented on how there was he was trying to be very politically correct about how he commented about actually having somebody with some athletic skills get down the floor so he could throw an alley-oop to him. It's like, yeah, Kawhi, we know what you're trying to say. A bunch of old guys out there, they can't jump. That's what you're trying to say. You want to throw a nice alley-oop. So Jonathan Simmons come along and, I got one. Yeah. But no, I think the kid, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's going to earn some more playing time, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised on how athletic this young guy is. Man, he can get up and down the floor.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to do some things.
Yeah, he's definitely fun to watch. So looking ahead a little bit, the Spurs have not played the Clippers. They will coming up here in about a week or so. They have not played Golden State, and they played Oklahoma City only once. Those are sort of the top teams in the West. How do you think they stack up with them right now?
Well, they get Golden State in January,
right,
and then they get Golden State like twice at the end of the season.
Right.
So we'll, really worry about Golden State. The Clippers aren't exactly tearing them up like they did last year. They
No, they've had some injuries.
They did last year with injuries, and I mean, a couple of times, Paul's been out, and so we'll have to see. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. You think that Memphis would have been a tougher opponent, and they beat them up twice.
Yeah, well, until Memphis is still fifth in the West, and the Spurs, handed them
and the Mavericks.
twice.
You thought the Mavericks would have better beat them up. So, I don't know why they can't do the same thing to the Clippers.
Right.
Golden State's going to be the only one, but. They always talk about, how the Spurs match up with other teams. Well, how's Golden State going to match up with the Spurs?
There you go.
But we still have a lot of games to go before we get to the Golden State Spurs matchup.
Yeah.
So they still have a lot of growing to do between now and then.
Sounds good. Well, and finally, Coach Pop's sideline interview with Craig Sager the other night was definitely this sort of heartfelt moment that has kind of gone viral. You've covered the Spurs for years, David. What can you say about Coach Pop? He kind of has this sort of surly kind of sideline interview.
You know what? He showed a lot of class, and he is a classy guy.
Right.
I mean, he just doesn't like those interviews.
Yeah.
And as he said the other night to Craig Sager, I hate these interviews. But he is a very classy guy, and to do what he did the other night. Of course, then Craig asked a couple of questions, and Pop, needled him a little bit. But just to see Craig Sager back, that's an inspiration to anybody and everybody, and especially if you're in this business, to know what he's been through and know what it takes to be out on that court and to ask those questions, especially when it's Pop.
Oh yeah.
So it's outstanding to see him back on the court after what he's been through, and he's got to continue with some of this cancer fight. So we wish him the best, and it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment,
and
and it's been a great early part of the season. We can't wait to see what happens this next part up, before the rodeo road trip. All right, well, that's it for our Spurs cast. Make sure to follow the latest Spurs coverage on air and online right here. I'm RJ Marquez. This is David Sears right here. Have a good day, everybody.